Hi, I'm Meet the Bias User, and today I'm going to be reviewing this new Yaeji album with a hammer. This is my introduction to this electronic pop artist Yaeji, where most of this thing is pretty low-key. It's not very out there, but the intro Submerge FM does pull off some heavy and dense production on the bass drum after a group of flutes playing around at the ambient start. But even though the drums were dense, it performed awfully basic. I was very much more engaged with the follow-up for Granted, where the synths aren't loud, but they are playful and catchy. Same with Yaeji's vocals, even when she sounds like she's whispering. But her production switch-ups, with it opening up with a tight production and then getting spacey, kept things interesting. She even gets a layer of group vocals interacting well with the single voice layer. Fever wasn't as catchy, but it embraces the off-putting greatly, with interrupted guitar string repetitions you can't ignore. Not that I would want to. And Yaeji's voice sounds like she's performing a ritual. And to hear her doing this over the weird-sounding strings has me telling her, fucking go for it. Like the track, but if you couldn't take it, Pass Me By was easy to listen to. It's smooth, it has a sway to it, and while the instrumental isn't the strongest, it's easily made up for by Yaeji's detailed voice that cracks in a humanized fashion, giving her a charm. And I like the chemistry her humming has to the low in volume but open synth. With the title track, I was loving the electronic scratches and its glitching environment, but I couldn't help but find the percussions altogether to be too loose and skeletal, making the title track one of the lesser moments to the album, and it will not be the last. To the good until then, I'll remember for me is a slow burner that's no more than 2 minutes, giving it little to no guarantee of it overstaying its welcome. We just get Yaeji with fuzzy autotune over some ambience. I love the amount of soul that's put in, the overall stripped back feel on Done. The drum and bass doesn't hit hard, but it still bops. I wish I could say the same for Ready or Not, but I wasn't into the ambience as I was with the vocals glitching around in the middle. With Michin, there was excitement displayed by the bass drum spamming softly. And I like the part where we get vocal repetition of the words break it down. The happy bass line paired with the scattered drum and bass on Away X5 made me mistake my environment for a fun house when closing my eyes. The tight percussions were speeding on the track Happy, and I'm glad the feature Nourished by Time was able to be on point, but my biggest takeaway is the soft, oily metal xylophone that brings out a bright psychedelic groove that takes me places. The record closes with 2 ambient pieces, where one was good and the other was okay. With One Thing to Smash, the voices in the atmosphere were great, whether it was coming from Yaeji or the feature Lorraine James, but the spacey bass line was too underwhelming. Be Alone in this sold me hard on the bouncing wooden xylophone and mystical vocals that get a little robotic and glitches sometimes. It's a high point the record closes on. With a Hammer from Yaeji isn't loud, and sometimes that might not work in the album's favor, but there are plenty of moments, more moments than not, where the low-key vibe is taken good care of, with great production and instrumentation. I'm glad I remembered to keep this record in my knowledge. I'm gonna give this album a 7. Like, subscribe, comment how you feel, or give a suggestion. Check out my other social medias, and I'll see you next time.